The vision of the cloud and the waters. And when I had said these things, I fell asleep there, and I saw a vision, and lo, a cloud was ascending from a great sea, and I kept gazing upon it, and lo, it was full of waters white and black, and there were many colors in those selfsame waters, and as it were the likeness of great lightning was seen at its summit. And I saw that cloud passing swiftly in quick courses, and it covered all the earth. And it came to pass after these things, that the cloud began to pour upon the earth the waters that were in it. And I saw that there was not one and the same likeness in the waters which descended from it. For in the first beginning they were black, and many for a time, and afterwards I saw that the waters became bright, but they were not many. And after these things again I saw black waters, and after these things again bright, and again black, and again bright. Now this was done 12 times, but the black were always more numerous than the bright. And it came to pass at the end of the cloud that, lo, it rained black waters, and they were darker than had been all those waters that were before. The fire was mingled with them, and where those waters ascended, they wrought devastation and destruction. And I saw after these things that lightning which I had seen on the summit of the cloud, that it seized hold of it, and hurled it to the earth. Now that lightning shone exceedingly, so as to illuminate the whole earth, and it healed those regions where last the waters had descended and wrought devastation. And it took hold of the whole earth, and had dominion over it. And I saw after these things, and lo, 12 rivers were ascending from the sea, and they began to surround that lightning, and to become subject to it. And by reason of my fear I awoke. Baruch's prayer. And I besought the Mighty One, and said, Thou alone, O Lord, knowest aforetime the deep things of the world, and the things of which befall in their times. Thou bringest about by thy word, and again against the works of the inhabitants of the earth. Thou dost have hastened the beginnings of the times, and the end of the seasons thou alone knowest, for whom nothing is too hard. But thou doest everything easily by a nod, to whom the depths as the heights are accessible, and the beginnings of the ages minister to thy word, who revealest to those who fear thee what is prepared for them, that henceforth they may be comforted. Thou showest great acts to those who know not. Thou breakest up the enclosure of those who are ignorant, and lightest up what is dark, and revealest what is hidden to the pure, who in faith have submitted themselves to thee and to thy law. Thou hast shown to thy servant this vision, revealed to me also its interpretation, for I know that as regards those things wherein I besought thee, I have received a response, and as regards of what I besought, thou didst reveal to me, and didst show me with what voice I should praise thee, or from what members I should cause praises and hallelujahs to ascend to thee. For if my members were mouths, and the hairs of my head voices, even so I could not give thee the meat of praise, nor laud thee as if it is befitting, nor could I recount thy praise, nor tell the glory of thy beauty. For what am I amongst men, or why am I reckoned amongst those who are more excellent than I, that I should have heard all those marvelous things from the Most High, and promises numberless from him who created me? Blessed be my mother amongst those that bear, and praised among women be she that bare me. For I will not be silent in praising the Mighty One, and with the voice of the praise I will recount his marvelous deeds. For who doth like unto thy marvelous deeds, O God? Or who comprehendeth thy deep thoughts of life? For with thy counsel dost thou govern all the creatures, which thy right hand had created, and thou hast established every fountain of light beside thee, and the treasuries of wisdom beneath thy throne hast thou prepared, and justly do they perish who have not loved thy law. And the torment of judgment shall await those who have not submitted themselves to thy power. For though Adam first sinned and brought untimely death upon all, yet of those who were born from him each one of them hath prepared for his own soul torment to come. And again each one of them hath chosen for himself glories to come. For assuredly he who believeth shall receive reward. But now as for you, ye wicked that now are, turn ye to destruction, because you will speedily be visited, in that formerly ye rejected the understanding of the Most High. For his works have not taught you, nor hath the skill of his creation, which is at all times persuaded you. Adam is therefore not the cause, save only of his own soul. But each one of us hath been the Adam of his own soul. But do thou, O Lord, expound to me regarding those things which thou hast revealed to me, and inform me regarding that which I besought thee. For at the consummation of the world there shall be vengeance taken upon those who have done wickedness according to their wickedness, and thou wilt glorify the faithful according to their faithfulness. For those who are amongst thine own thou rulest, and those who sin thou blottest out from amongst thine own. And it came to pass, when I had finished speaking these words of this prayer, that I sat there under the tree, that I might rest in the shade of the branches. And I wondered and was astonished, and pondered in my thoughts regarding the multitude of goodness which sinners who are upon the earth have rejected, and regarding the great torment of which they have despised, though they knew that they should be tormented because of the sins of which they had committed. And when I was pondering on these things and on the like, lo, the angel Ramiel, who persisted over the true visions, was sent to me, and he said unto me, Why doth thy heart trouble thee, Baruch? And why doth thy thoughts disturb thee? For if owing to the report of which thou hast only heard of judgment, thou art so moved, what wilt thou be when thou shalt see it manifestly with thine own eyes? And if with the exception wherewith thou dost expect the day of the Mighty One thou art so overcome, what wilt thou be then when thou shalt come to this advent? And if at the word of the announcement of the torment of those who have done foolishly thou art so wholly distraught, how much more when the event will reveal marvelous things? And if thou hast heard tidings of the good and evil things which are then coming, and are grieved, what wilt thou be when thou shalt behold what the Majesty will reveal, which will convict thee and cause those to rejoice? The interpretation of the vision. Nevertheless, because thou hast besought the Most High to reveal it to thee, the interpretation of the vision of which thou hast seen, I have been sent to tell thee. And the Mighty One hath assuredly made known to thee the methods of the times that have passed, and of those that are destined to pass in his world, from the beginning of its creation, even unto its consummation, of those things which are deceit, and of those which are in truth. For as thou didst see a great cloud, which ascended from the sea, and went and covered the earth, this is the duration of the world, which the Mighty One made when he took the counsel to make the world. And it came to pass, when the word had gone forth from his presence, that the duration of the world had come into being in a small degree, and was established according to the multitude of the intelligence of him who sent it. And as thou didst previously see on the summit of the cloud black waters, which descended previously on the earth, this is the transgression wherewith Adam, the first man, transgressed. For since when he transgressed, untimely death came into being, and grief was named, and anguish was prepared, and pain was created, and trouble consummated, and disease began to be established, and Sheol to demand that it should be renewed in blood. And the beginning of children was brought about, and the passion of parents produced, and the greatness of humanity was humiliated, and goodness languished. What therefore can be blacker or darker than these things? This is the beginning of black waters which thou hast seen, and from these black waters again were black derived, and darkness of darkness produced. For he became a danger to his own soul, even to the angels, because he is a danger. For moreover, at the same time, when he was created, they enjoyed liberty, and some of them descended and mingled with women, and when those who did so were tormented in chains. But the rest of the multitude of the angels, of which there is no number, retained themselves, and those who dwelt on the earth perished together with them through the waters of the deluge. These are the black first waters, and after these waters thou didst see bright waters. This is the fount of Abraham, also his generation, and advent of his son, and of his own son's son, and of those like them, because at that time the unwritten law was named amongst them, and the works of the commandments were then fulfilled, and belief in the coming judgment was then generated, and hope of the world that was to be renewed was then built up, and the promise of the life that should come hereafter was implanted. These are the bright waters of which thou hast seen, and the black third waters which thou hast seen. These are mingling of all sins, which the nations afterwards wrought after the death of those righteous men, and the wickedness of the land of Egypt, wherein they did wickedly in the service wherewith they made their sons to serve. Nevertheless, these also perished at last. And the bright fourth waters which thou hast seen are the advent of Moses and Aaron and Miriam and Joshua the son of Nun and Caleb and of all those like them. For at that time the lamp of the eternal law shone on all those who sat in darkness, which announced to them that believe in the promise of their reward, and to them that deny the torment of fire which is reserved for them. But also heaven at this time were shaken from their place, and those who were under the throne of the Mighty One were perturbed, when he was taking Moses unto himself. For he showed him many admonitions together with the principles of the law and the consummation of times, as also to thee, and likewise the pattern of Zion and its measures, in the pattern of which the sanctuary of the present time was to be made. But then also he showed to him the measures of the fire, also the depths of the abyss, and the weight of the winds, and the number of the drops of rain, and the suppression of anger, and the multitude of long-suffering, and the truth of judgment, and the root of wisdom, and the riches of understanding, and the fount of knowledge, and the height of the air, and the greatness of paradise, the consummation of the ages, and the beginning of the day of judgment, and the number of offerings, and the earths of which have not yet come, and the mouth of the Gehenna, and the station of vengeance, and the place of faith, and the region of hope, the likeness of future torment, and the multitude of innumerable angels, and the flaming hosts, the splendor of lightnings, and the voice of thunders, the orders of the chiefs of the angels, and the treasuries of the light, the changes of the times, and the investigations of the law. These are the bright fourth waters which thou hast seen, and the black waters which thou hast seen remaining are the works of which the Amorites wrought, and the spells of their incantations of which they wrought, and the wickedness of their mysteries, and the mingling of their pollution. But even Israel was then polluted by sins in the days of the judges, though they saw many signs which were from him who made them. And the bright six waters which thou didst see, this is the time in which David and Solomon were born. And there was at this time the building of Zion, and the dedication of the sanctuary, and the shedding of much blood of the nations that sinned then, and many offerings which were offered then in the dedication of the sanctuary. And peace and tranquility existed at that time, and wisdom was heard in the assembly, and the riches of understanding were magnified in the congregations, and the holy festivals were fulfilled in goodness and in much joy. The judgment of rulers was then seen to be without guile, and the righteousness of the precepts of the Mighty One was accomplished with truth. The land which was then beloved by the Lord, and because its inhabitants sinned not, it was glorified beyond all lands, and the city of Zion ruled then over all lands and regions. These are the bright waters which thou hast seen, and the black seventh waters which thou hast seen. This is the perversion brought about by the counselor of Jeroboam, who took counsel to make 2 calves of gold, and all the iniquities of which the kings who were after him iniquitously wrought, and the curse of Jezebel, and the worship of idols which Israel practiced at that time, and the withholding of rain, and the famines of which occurred until women ate the fruit of their wombs, and the time of their captivity, which came upon the 9 tribes and a half, because they were in many sins. And Salmanassar, king of Assyria, came and led them away captive. But regarding the Gentiles, it were tedious to tell how they always wrought impiety and wickedness, and never wrought righteousness. These are the black seventh waters of which thou hast seen, and the bright eighth waters which thou hast seen, and this is the rectitude and uprightness of Hezekiah king of Judah, and the grace of God which came upon him. For when Sennacherib was stirred up in order that he might perish, and his wrath troubled him in order that he might thereby perish for the multitude also of the nations which were with him. When moreover Hezekiah the king heard those things which the king of Assyria was devising to come to seize him and destroy his people, the 2.5 tribes will remain, nay, more, he wished to overthrow Zion also. Then Hezekiah trusted in his works, and had hope in righteousness, and spake the Mighty One, and said, Behold, for lo, Sennacherib is prepared to destroy us, and he will boastful and uplifted when he hath destroyed Zion, And the mighty one heard him, for Hezekiah was wise, and he had respect unto his prayer, because he was righteous. And thereupon on the mighty one commanded Ramiel his angel, who speaketh with thee. And I went forth and destroyed their multitude, the number of whose chiefs only was 185,000, and each one of them had an equal number at his command. And at that time I burned their bodies within, but their raiment and arms I preserved outwardly, in order that the still more wonderful deeds of the mighty one might appear, and thereby his might and name be spoken of throughout the whole earth. Moreover, Zion was saved, and Jerusalem delivered. Israel also was freed from tribulation, and those who were in the Holy Land, rejoiced. And the name of the Mighty One was glorified, so that it was spoken of. These are the bright waters which thou hast seen, and the black ninth waters which thou hast seen. This is all the wickedness which was of the days of Manasseh, the son of Hezekiah. For he wrought much impiety, and he slew the righteous, and he wrested judgment, and he shed the blood of the innocent, and wedded women he violently polluted. And he overturned the altars, and destroyed their offerings, and drove forth the priests, lest they should minister in his sanctuary. And he made an image with 5 faces. 4 of them looked out to the 4 winds, and on the 5th of the summit of the image an adversary of the seal of the Mighty One. And then wrath went forth from the presence of the Mighty One, to the intent that Zion should be rooted out, as also it befell in your days. But also against the 2 tribes and a half it went forth a decree that they should also be led away captive, as thou hast now seen. And to such a degree did the impiety of Manasseh increase, that it removed the praise of the Most High from the sanctuary. And on this account Manasseh was at that time named the Impious. And finally his abode was in the fire, for through his prayer was heard with the Most High. Finally, when he was cast into the brazen horse, and the brazen horse was melted, it served as a sign unto him at that time. For he did not live perfectly, for he was not worthy, but that thenceforth he might know by whom finally he should be tormented. For he who is able to benefit is also able to torment. Thus, moreover, did Manasseh act impiously, and thought that in his time the Mighty One would not inquire into these things. These are the black 9th waters of which thou hast seen, and the bright 10th waters of which thou hast seen. And this is the purity of the generations of Josiah, king of Judah, who was the only one at the time who submitted himself to the Mighty One with all of his heart and with all of his soul. And he cleansed the land from idols, and hallowed all the vessels which had been polluted, and restored the offering of the altar, and raised the horn of the holy, and exalted the righteous, and glorified all that were wise and understanding, and brought back the priests to their ministry, and destroyed and removed the magicians and enchanters, necromancers from the land. And not only did he slay the impious that were living, but they also took from the sepulchres the bones of the dead, and burned them with fire. And the festivals and the Sabbaths he established in their sanctuary, and their polluted ones he burnt in the fire, and the lying prophets which deceived the people he also burnt in the fire. And the people who listened to them when they were living he cast them into the brook Cedron, and heaped stones upon them. And he was zealous with the zeal of the Mighty One with all of his soul, and he alone was firm in the law at that time, so that he left none that was uncircumcised, or that wrought impiety in all the land, all the days of his life. Therefore he shall receive an eternal reward, and he shall be glorified with the Mighty One beyond many at a latter time. For on his account, and the account of those who are like him, were the honorable glories of which thou wast told before, created and prepared. These are the bright waters which thou hast seen, and the black 11th waters which thou hast seen. This is the calamity which is now befalling Zion. Dost thou think that there is no anguish to the angels in the presence of the Mighty One, that Zion was to be delivered up, and that, lo, the Gentiles boast in their hearts, and is assembled before the idols, and say, She is trodden down, who oft times trod down, and she hath been reduced to servitude, who reduced others? Dost thou think that in these things the Most High rejoiceth, or that his name is glorified? But how will it serve towards his righteous judgment? Yet after these things shall the dispersed among the Gentiles be taken hold of by tribulation, and in the same shame shall they dwell in every place, because so far as Zion is delivered up, and Jerusalem laid waste, and idols prospered in the cities of the Gentiles, and the vapor of the smoke of the incense of the righteousness of which is by the law is extinguished in Zion, and in the region of Zion in every place, lo, There is the smoke of impiety. But the king of Babylon will arise, who hath not destroyed Zion, and he will boast over the people, and he will speak great things in his heart, and in the presence of the Most High. But he also shall fall at last. These are the black waters, and the bright 12th waters which thou hast seen. This is the word. For after these things a time shall come when thy people shall fall into distress, so that they shall all run the risk of perishing together. Nevertheless, they shall be saved, and their enemies shall fall in their presence, and they shall have in due time much joy. And at that time, after a little interval, in Zion shall again be builded, and its offering shall again be restored, and the priests shall return to their ministry, and again the Gentiles shall come to glorify it. Nevertheless, not fully as in the beginning, but it shall come to pass after these things that there shall be fall of many nations. These are the bright waters of which thou hast seen. For the last waters which thou hast seen were darker than all that were before them. Those which were after the 12th number of which were collected together belonged to the whole earth. For the Most High made division from the beginning, because he alone knoweth what shall befall. For as to the enormities and the impieties of which wrought should be before him, he foresaw 6 kinds of them. And of the good works of the righteous of which should be accomplished before him, he foresaw 6 kinds of them, beyond those of which he should work at the consummation of the age. On this account there were not black waters with black, nor bright with bright, for it is the consummation. Hear therefore the interpretation of the last black waters, which are to come after this the black. This is the word. Behold, the day is come, and it shall be when the time of the age has ripened, and the harvest of its evil and good seeds hath come, that the mighty one will bring upon the earth and its inhabitants and upon its rulers perturbation of spirit and stupor of heart. And they will hate one another, and provoke one another to fight. And the mean shall rule over the honorable, and those of low degree shall be exalted above the famous. And the many shall be delivered into the hands of the few, and those who are nothing shall rule over the strong. And the poor shall have abundance beyond the rich, and the impious shall exalt themselves above the heroic, and the wise shall be silent, and the foolish shall speak. Neither shall the thought of men be then confirmed, nor the counsel of the mighty, nor the hope of those who hope be confirmed. Moreover, it shall be, when those things which are predicted have come to pass, that confusion shall fall upon all men, and some of them shall fall in battle, and some of them shall perish in anguish, and some of them shall be destroyed by thy own. Then the Most High will reveal those people whom he hath prepared before, and they shall come and make war with the leaders that shall then be left. And it shall come to pass that whosoever getteth safe out of the war shall die in the earthquake, and whosoever getteth safe out of the earthquake shall be burned by the fire, and whosoever getteth safe out of the fire shall be destroyed by famine. And it shall come to pass that whosoever of the victors and the vanquished getteth safe out of and escaped out of all of these aforesaid things shall be delivered unto the hands of my servant Messiah. For all the earth will devour its inhabitants, and the Holy Land shall have mercy on its own, and it shall protect its inhabitants at that time. This is the vision of which thou hast seen, and this is its interpretation. For I have come to tell you these things, because thy prayer hath been heard with the Most High. Hear now also regarding the bright lightning which is to come at the consummation after these black waters. This is the word. After the signs have come, of which thou hast told before, when the nations become turbulent, and at the time of my Messiah is to come, he shall both summon all the nations, and some of them he shall spare, and some of them he shall slay. These things therefore shall come upon the nations which are to be spared by him. Every nation which now knoweth not Israel, and hath not trodden down the seed of Jacob, shall indeed be spared. And this because some of every nation shall be subjected to thy people. But all those who have ruled over you, or have known you, shall be given up to the sword. And it shall come to pass, when he hath brought low everything that is in the world, and hath set down in peace for the age of the throne of his kingdom, that joy shall then be revealed, and rest appear. And then healing shall descend in dew, and disease shall withdraw, and anxiety and anguish and lamentation shall pass from amongst men, and gladness shall proceed through the whole earth. And no one shall again die untimely, nor shall any adversary suddenly befall. And judgments and revilings and contentions and revenges and blood, passions, and envy, and hatred, and whatsoever things are like these shall go into condemnation when they are removed. For it is these very things which have filled this world with evils, and on account of these life of man has been greatly troubled. And wild beasts shall come from the forest and minister unto men, and asps and dragons shall come forth from their holes to submit themselves to a little child. And women shall no longer then have pain when they bear, nor shall they suffer torment when they yield the fruit of their womb. And it shall come to pass in those days that the reapers shall not grow weary, nor those that build be toil-worn, for the works shall of them selflessly speedily advance with those of who do them much tranquillity. For that time is the consummation of that which is corruptible, and the beginning of that which is not corruptible. Therefore those things which were predicted shall belong to it. Therefore it is far away from evils and near to those things which die not. This is the bright lightning which came after the last dark waters. Baruch's hymn. And I answered and I said, Who can understand, O Lord, thy goodness? For it is incomprehensible. Or who can search into thy compassions which are infinite? Or who can comprehend thy intelligence? Or who is able to recount the thoughts of thy mind? Or who of those are born can hope to come to those things, unless he is one to whom thou art merciful and gracious? Because if assuredly thou dost not have compassion on man, those who are under thy right hand, they could not come to those things, but those who are in numbered, named, can be called. But if indeed we who exist now, wherefore we have come, and submit ourselves to him who brought us out of Egypt, we shall come again and remember those things which have passed, and shall rejoice regarding that which hath been. But if now we know not wherefore we have come, and recognize not the principate of him who brought us up out of Egypt, we shall come again and seek after those things of which have been now, and be grieved with pain because of those things which have befallen. Baruch is bidden to instruct the people. And he answered and said unto me, Inasmuch of the revelation of this vision hath been interpreted to thee as thou besoughtest, hear the word of the Most High, that thou mayest know what is to befall thee after these things. For thou shalt surely depart from this earth, nevertheless not unto death, but thou shalt be preserved unto the consummation of the times. Go up therefore to the top of that mountain, and there shall pass before thee all the regions of the land, and the figure of the inhabited world, and the tops of the mountains, and the depths of the valleys, and the depths of the seas, and the number of the rivers, that thou mayest see what thou art leaving, and whither thou art going. Now this shall befall after 40 days. Go now, therefore, during these days, and instruct the people so far as thou art able, that they may learn so as not to die at the last times, but may learn in order, that they may live at the last times. I, Baruch's admonition in the people. And I, Baruch, went thence and came to the people, and assembled them together from the greatest to the least, and said unto them, Hear ye, children of Israel, behold how many ye are who remain of the 12 tribes of Israel. For to you and to your fathers the Lord gave a law more excellent than all the people. And because your brethren transgressed the commandments of the Most High, he brought vengeance upon you and upon them. And he spared not the former, and the latter also he gave into captivity, and left not a residue of them. And behold, ye are here with me. If therefore ye direct your ways aright, you also shall not depart as your brethren departed, but they shall come to you. For he is merciful, whom ye worship, and he is gracious, in whom ye hope. And he is true, so that he shall do you good, and not evil. Have ye not seen here what hath befallen Zion? Or do ye perchance think that the place has sinned, and that on this account it was overthrown, or that the land had wrought foolishness, and that therefore it was delivered up? And know ye not that on account of you who did sin, that which sinned not was overthrown, and on account of those who wrought wickedly, that which wrought not foolishness was delivered up to its enemies? And the whole people answered and said unto me, So far as we can recall the good things which the Mighty One hath done unto us, we do recall them, and those things which we do not remember, his mercy knoweth. Nevertheless, to this for us the people write also to our brethren in Babylon an epistle of doctrine and a scroll of hope, that thou mayest confirm them also before thou departest from us. For the shepherds of Israel have perished, and the lamps which gave light are extinguished, and the fountains which have withheld their stream whence we used to drink. And we left in darkness, and amid the trees of the forest, and the thirst of the wilderness. And then I answered, I said unto them, Shepherds and lamps and fountains came from the law, and though we depart, yet the law abideth. If therefore ye have respect to the law, and are intent upon wisdom, a lamp shall not be wanting, and a shepherd shall not fail, and a fountain shall not dry up. The sending of the epistles. Nevertheless, as ye have said to me, I will write also unto your brethren in Babylon, and I will send by means of men, and I will write in like manner in the 9 tribes and a half, and send by means of a bird. And it came to pass on the 21st day in the 8th month that I, Baruch, came and sat down under the oak under the shadow of the branches, and no man was with me, but I was alone. And I wrote these 2 epistles, one I sent by an eagle to the 9½ tribes, and the other I sent to those that were in Babylon by means of 3 men. And I called the eagle, and spoke these words unto it. The Most High hath made thee, thou shouldest be higher than all birds, and now go, and tarry not in any place, nor enter a nest, nor settle upon any tree, till thou hast passed over the breadth of many waters of the river Euphrates, and hast gone down to the people that dwell there, and cast down to them this epistle. Remember, moreover, that at the time of the deluge Noah received from the dove of the fruit of the olive, when he sent it forth from the ark. Ye also, the ravens, ministered to Elijah, bearing him food, as they had been commanded. Solomon also, in the same of his kingdom, whatsoever he wished to send or seek for anything, commanded a bird to go thither, and it obeyed him as he commanded it. And now let it not weary thee, and turn not to the right hand nor to the left, but fly, and go by a direct way, that thou mayest preserve the command of the Mighty One, according as I have said unto thee. The epistle of Baruch, the son of Neriah, which he wrote to the 9½ tribes. These are the words of the epistle which Baruch, the son of Neriah, sent to the 9½ tribes which were across the river Euphrates, in which these things were written. Thus saith Baruch, the son of Neriah, to the brethren carried into captivity. Mercy and peace I bear in mind, and my brethren, the love of him who created us, who loved us from of old, and never hated us, but above all educated us. And truly I know that, behold, all we, the 12 tribes, are bound by one bond, inasmuch as we are born from one Father. Wherefore I have been the more careful to leave you the words of the epistle before I die, that you may be comforted regarding the evils of which have come upon you, and that you may be grieved also regarding the evil that hath befallen your brethren. And again also, that ye may justify his judgment which he hath decreed against you, that ye should be carried away captive. For what ye have suffered is disproportioned to what ye have done, in order that at the last times ye may be found worthy of your fathers. Therefore, if ye consider that ye have now suffered those things for your good, that ye may not finally be condemned and tormented, then ye shall be received of eternal hope, if above all ye destroy from your heart vain error, in account of which ye departed hence. For if ye do these things, he will continually remember you, he who always promised on our behalf to those who were more excellent than we, that he will never forget nor forsake us, but with as much mercy will gather together again those who were dispersed. Now, my brethren, learn first what befell Zion, how that Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, came against us. For we have sinned against him who made us, and we have not kept the commandments of which he commanded us. Yet he hath not chastened us as we deserved. For what befell you, we also suffer in a preeminent decree, for it befell us also. And now, my brethren, I make known unto you, that when the enemy hath surrounded the city, the angels of the Most High were sent, and they overthrew the fortifications of the strong wall, and they destroyed the firm iron corners of which could not be rooted out. Nevertheless, they hid all the vessels of the sanctuary, lest the enemy should get possession of them. And when they had done these things, they delivered thereupon to the enemy, and overthrown the wall, and plundered the house, and burnt temple, and the people who were overcome, because they were delivered up, lest the enemy should boast and say, Thus, by the force, we have been able to lay waste even to the house of the Most High in war. Your brethren also they have bound and led away to Babylon, and have caused them to dwell there. But we have been left here, being very few. This is the tribulation about which I wrote to you. For assuredly I know that the consolation of the inhabitants of Zion consoleth you, so far as ye knoweth that it was prospered, your consolation was greater than the tribulation of which ye endured, and having departed from it. But regarding consolation, hear ye the word. For I was mourning regarding Zion, and I prayed for mercy from the Most High, and I said, how long will these things endure for us, and will these evils come upon us always? And the Mighty One did according to the multitude of his mercies, and the Most High according to the greatness of his compassion. And he revealed unto me the word, that I might receive consolation. And he showed me visions, that I should not again endure anguish. And he made known to me the mysteries of the times and the advent of the hours. He showed me, therefore, my brethren, I have written to you, that ye may comfort yourselves regarding the multitude of your tribulations. For know ye that our Maker will shortly avenge us on all of our enemies, according to all that they have done to us. Also, that the consummation which the Most High will make is very high, and his mercy that is coming, and the consummation of his judgment is by no means far off. For lo, we see now the multitude of the pros and the parity of the Gentiles, though they act impiously, but they shall become like a vapor. And behold, the multitude of their power, though they do wickedly, but they shall be made like unto a drop. And we see the firmness of their might, though they resist the Mighty One every hour, but they shall be accounted as spittle. And we consider the glory of their greatness, though they do not keep the statutes of the Most High, but as smoke they shall pass away. And we meditate on the beauty of their gracefulness, though they have to do with pollutions, but as grass that withers shall they fade away. And we consider the strength of their cruelty, though they remember not the end thereof, but as a wave that passeth they shall be broken. And we remark the boastfulness of their might, though they deny the beneficence of God who gave it to them, but they shall pass away as a passing cloud. For the Most High shall assuredly hasten at his times. He shall assuredly bring on his hours. And he shall assuredly judge those who are in his world, and shall visit in truth all things by means of all their hidden works. And he shall assuredly examine the secret thoughts, and that which is laid up in the secret chambers of all of the members of man, and shall make them manifest in the presence of all with reproof. Let none therefore of those present things ascend into your hearts, but above all let us expect it, because that which is promised shall come. And let us not now look unto the delights of the Gentiles in the present, but let us remember what hath been promised to us in the end. For the ends of the times and of the seasons, and whatsoever is in them, shall assuredly pass altogether. The consummation, moreover, of the age shall then show the great might of its ruler. Then with all things comes to judgment. Do ye therefore prepare your hearts for that which before ye believed, lest ye come to be into bondage in both worlds, so that ye be led away captive here, and be tormented there. For as to that which existeth now, or which hath passed away, or which is to come, in all these things neither is the evil fully evil, nor again the good fully good. For all the healthiness of the times are turning into diseases, and all might of the time is turning into weakness, and of all the force of this time is turning into impotence. And every energy of youth is turning into old age and consummation, and every beauty of gracefulness of this time is turning faded and hateful. And every proud dominion of the present is turning into humiliation and shame, and every praise of the glory of the time is turning into the shame of silence. And every vain splendor and insolence of this time is turning into wickedness of voiceless ruin, and every delight and joy of this time is turning to worms and corruption. And every clamor of the pride of the time is turning into dust and stillness, and every possession of the riches of this time is being turned into Sheol alone, and all the rapine of passion of this time is turning into involuntary death, and every passion of the lusts of this time is turning into a judgment of torment, and every artifice and craftiness of this time is turning into a proof of the truth, and every sweetness of the unions of this time is turning into judgment and condemnation, and every love of lying is turning into contumely through truth. Since therefore all these things are done now, doth any one think that they will not be avenged? But the consummation of all things shall come to the truth. Behold, I have therefore made known unto you these things whilst I live. For I said that ye shall learn the things that are excellent, for the Mighty One hath commanded to instruct you, and I will set before you some of the commandments of his judgments before I die. Remember that formerly Moses assuredly called heaven and earth to witness against you, and said, If you transgress the law, you shall be dispersed. But if ye shall keep it, ye shall be kept. And other things also he used to say unto you when ye, the 12 tribes, were together in the desert. And after his death ye cast them away from you on his account. On this account there came upon you what had been predicted. And now Moses used to tell you before they befell you. And lo, they have befallen you, for you have forsaken the law. Lo, I also say unto you after ye have suffered, that if you obey these things which have been said unto you, ye shall receive from the Mighty One whatever hath been laid up and reserved for you. Moreover, let the epistle be for a testimony between me and you, that ye may remember the commandments of the Mighty One, and that also there may be to be me a defense in the presence of him who sent me. And remember ye the law in Zion, and the Holy Land, and your brethren, and the covenant of your fathers, and forget not the festivals and the Sabbaths. And deliver ye the epistle and the tradition of the law to your sons after you, and also your fathers delivered them to you. And at all times make request perseveringly, and pray diligently with your whole heart, that the Mighty One may be reconciled to you, and that he may not reckon the multitude of your sins. But remember the rectitude of your fathers. For if he judge us not according to the multitude of his mercies, woe unto all of us who are born. Know ye moreover that in former times and in generations of old those our fathers had helpers, righteous men, and holy prophets. Nay, more, we were in our own land, and they helped us when we sinned, and they interceded for us to him who made us, because they entrusted their works, and the Mighty One heard their prayers and forgave us. But now the righteous have been gathered, and the prophets have fallen asleep, and we also have gone forth from the tried land, and Zion hath been taken from us, and we have been nothing now save the Mighty One and his law. If therefore we direct and dispose our hearts, we shall receive everything that we lost, and much better things we lost by many times, for what we have lost was subject to corruption, and what we shall receive shall not be corruptible. Moreover also I have written thus to our brethren into Babylon, that to them all, so I may attest to these very things. And let you those things aforesaid be always before your eyes, because we are still in the spirit and the power of our liberator, and our liberty. Again, moreover, the Most High also is long-suffering towards here, and he hath shown to us that which is to be, and hath not concealed from us what will befall in the end. Before therefore judgment exact its own, and truth that which is to be due. Let us prepare our soul, that we may enter into possession of, and not be taken possession of, and that we may hope and not be put to shame, and that we may rest with our fathers, and not be tormented with our enemies. For the youth of the world is past, and the strength of its creation is already exhausted. And the advent of the times is very short. Yea, they have passed by, and the pitcher is near to the cistern, and the ship to the port, and the course of the journey to the city, and the life to its consummation. And again, prepare your souls, so that when ye sail and ascend from the ship, ye may have rest, and not be condemned when ye depart. For lo, when the Most High shall bring to pass all these things, there shall not be there again a place of repentance, nor a limit to the times, nor a duration for the hours, nor a change of ways, nor a place for prayer, nor sending of petitions, nor receiving of knowledge, nor giving of love, nor place of repentance for the soul, nor supplication for offenses, nor intercession of the fathers, nor prayers of the prophets, nor help of righteous. There is the sentence of corruption, the way of fire, and the path of which bringeth to the Gehenna. On this account there is one law by one age, and an end for all who are in it. Then he will preserve those whom he can forgive, and at the same time destroy those who are polluted with sins. When therefore ye receive this my epistle, read it in your congregations with care, and meditate thereon above all on the days of your fasts, and bear me in mind by means of this epistle, as I also bear you in mind in it, and always fare ye well. The epistle to the 9.5 tribes is sent. And it came to pass, when I had ended all the words of this epistle, and had written it sedulously to its close, that I folded it and sealed it carefully, and bound it to the neck of the eagle, and dismissed and sent it. Here endeth the book of Baruch, the son of Neriah.